Jake Morrison floated in the dark space of his ship's bridge. The lights had gone out 3 days ago. The engine was dead. His crew of 12 people sat in silence around him. They all knew they were going to die. The USS Meridian was Earth's first deep space ship. Jake had been so proud when they picked him to lead this mission. They were supposed to map new star systems, find new worlds, maybe even find other life forms. Instead, they found nothing but problems. The engine broke down in the middle of nowhere. Lisa Martinez, his best engineer, had tried everything. She worked for days without sleep. But some things could not be fixed with just hope and hard work. Jake looked at his crew. Ben Rodriguez sat at the communication station. He had stopped trying to call for help yesterday. No one could hear them this far from Earth. Emma Carter, their pilot, stared out the window at the cold stars. She had nothing left to fly. "Captain," Lisa said from behind him. Her voice was tired. "I checked the life support again. We have maybe 10 days of air left." Jake nodded. He had known this already. But hearing it made it real. 10 days. Then they would all be dead. Their families on Earth would never know what happened to them. "Should we record a message?" asked Ben. "For our families?" Jake thought about this. His wife Katie was back on Earth. She was having their first baby in 6 months. He would never see his child. This thought made his chest hurt. "Not yet," Jake said. "We still have time." But he knew time was not going to save them. They needed a miracle. And miracles did not happen in deep space. Then the sensors started beeping. Emma jumped up from her chair. She ran to the sensor station. Her fingers moved fast across the controls. The main screen lit up with green lights. "Captain," Emma said. Her voice was shaking. "There's a ship out there. It's coming toward us." Jake felt his heart start beating fast. "What kind of ship?" Emma looked at the screen again. "I don't know. It's not like anything in our database. The design is completely different from human ships." Lisa came over to look. "How big is it?" "Much bigger than us," Emma said. "At least 5 times our size." Jake felt hope and fear at the same time. A ship meant they might live. But if it was not human, they had no idea what might happen. Earth had never met aliens before. The Meridian was supposed to be the first to make contact, but not like this. Not when they were helpless and dying. "Can we talk to them?" Jake asked Ben. Ben tried his radio. "I'm sending basic math signals. Prime numbers. If they're smart enough to build ships, they should understand." They waited. The alien ship got closer. On the screen, they could see it clearly now. It was beautiful in a way that human ships were not. The metal looked like crystal. It had smooth curves instead of straight lines. Strange lights moved along its surface like living things. "Captain," Ben said suddenly. "They're talking back. They're using our own signal pattern and—" "Wait, they're speaking English." Jake could not believe it. "English? How is that possible?" "I don't know. But listen to this." Ben turned up the speakers. A voice filled the bridge. It was clearly not human. The words were perfect, but the tone was different. Like music made of words. "Human vessel Meridian. This is Princess Zara of the Villani Empire. We have seen your distress. We offer help." Jake looked at his crew. They all stared back at him. This was first contact, the most important moment in human history, and it was happening to them here, when they had almost given up hope. "This is Captain Jake Morrison," he said into the radio. "We accept your help. Our engine is broken. We cannot move." "We understand," the alien voice said. "We will dock with your ship. Do not be afraid. We mean no harm." The alien ship moved closer. It was so big that it blocked out the stars. Jake watched as a tube extended from its side toward their ship. There was a soft bump as it connected to their airlock. "Captain," Lisa whispered, "what if this is a trap? What if they want to hurt us?" Jake had thought about this too, but they had no choice. If they wanted to hurt us, they could have just left us to die. We have to trust them. The airlock opened. Jake walked toward it slowly. His crew followed behind him. The first thing he noticed was the air that came through the tube. It smelled like flowers and metal at the same time. Then he saw her. The alien was tall, maybe 7 feet. Her skin was silver like polished metal. Her eyes were the color of starlight. She wore clothes that seemed to be made of the same crystal material as her ship. She was beautiful in a way that made Jake forget to breathe. "I am Princess Zara," she said. Her voice was even more musical in person. "You are Captain Morrison." "Yes," Jake said. He did not know if he should bow or shake hands or what. Zara looked at him with those strange, bright eyes. Your people are called humans, yes? We have watched your kind from far away. You do something that we cannot do. What do you mean? Jake asked. You survive, Zara said. You find hope when there should be none. You keep trying when others would give up. This is why I came to find you. Behind Zara, other aliens came through the airlock. They looked like her, but different. Some were shorter. Some had darker silver skin. They carried tools and equipment. My engineers will fix your ship, Zara said. But first I must ask you something important. Will you come with me to my world? My people need to learn from humans. We need to understand how you keep the fire burning inside you. Jake did not understand what she meant about fire, but he knew this was bigger than just fixing their ship. This was about two different kinds of people meeting for the first time. What's wrong with your people? Jake asked. Zara's bright eyes became sad. We are dying, Captain Morrison. Not from sickness or war. We are dying because we have forgotten how to live. The Villani ship was like nothing Jake had ever seen. The walls seemed to glow with soft light. The floors felt warm under his feet. Everything was smooth and curved. There were no sharp corners anywhere. Princess Zara led Jake and his crew through long hallways. Other Villani stopped to stare at them. They all had the same silver skin and bright eyes. But Jake noticed something strange. None of them smiled. None of them seemed excited to see aliens for the first time. They look sad, Emma whispered to Jake. Jake had noticed the same thing. Back on Earth, if aliens visited, people would be jumping up and down with excitement. These aliens just looked at them with empty eyes and walked away. My world is 3 days away, Zara said as they walked. Your ship will be fixed by then. My best engineers are working on it. Why did you learn our language? Lisa asked. We have been watching your people for 50 of your years, Zara said. We listen to your radio signals. We watch your television. We study how you live. Ben looked surprised. You've been spying on us? Not spying, Zara said. Learning. Your people fascinate us. You are so different from the Villani. They came to a large room with windows that showed the stars outside. Zara told them to sit in chairs that seemed to be made of the same crystal as everything else. The chairs were comfortable, like they were made just for humans. Tell me about your empire, Jake said. Zara's eyes became even sadder. We have ruled this part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have 200 worlds, billions of people. Great cities, amazing technology, but it means nothing. Why not? Jake asked. Because we have lost the most important thing, Zara said. We have lost the will to dream. She touched a control on the wall. The windows changed to show pictures instead of stars. Jake saw huge cities with towers that reached up to the clouds. He saw ships bigger than anything humans had ever built. He saw art and gardens and amazing machines. This all looks wonderful, Emma said. It is empty, Zara said. My people go through their days like machines. They do their jobs. They follow the rules. But they do not care about anything. They do not hope for anything better. They do not try new things, Jake was starting to understand. They're bored? Worse than bored, Zara said. They have forgotten why they should want to live. We call it the fading. It started small 300 years ago. Just a few people who stopped caring. But it spread like a disease. Now most of my people have it. Lisa leaned forward. But you're different. You still care. I am young, Zara said. The fading takes longer to reach the young ones. But even I can feel it starting. Sometimes I wake up and think, why should I get out of bed? What is the point? This made Jake feel cold inside. He could not imagine feeling that way. Even when the Meridian was dying in space, he had still wanted to live. He had still wanted to see his wife again. He had still wanted to meet his baby. How did this happen? Jake asked. Zara stood up and walked to the window. We became too successful. We solved all our problems. We had everything we wanted. There were no more challenges. No more mysteries. No more reasons to struggle. She turned back to them. Then we started watching your people. You are so young, so new to space. You make so many mistakes. Your technology is simple. Your ships break down. Your people fight with each other, but you never give up. Jake remembered all the times human space missions had failed. Ships that exploded. People who died. Missions that went wrong. But humans always tried again. We saw something in your people that we had lost, Zara continued. Hope, curiosity, the will to keep fighting even when things look impossible. Ben asked, Is that why you saved us? That is why I was looking for you, Zara said. I have been searching space for 2 years. Looking for humans, I wanted to meet your people. I wanted to understand how you keep the fire burning inside you when we cannot. The ship shook slightly. Zara looked at a screen on the wall. We are arriving at Villanos Prime, my home world. You will see what I mean. Jake felt excited and scared. They were about to see an alien world, but from what Zara said, it might not be a happy place. The next morning, Jake woke up in a room that was more comfortable than his own bed on Earth. The walls showed a view of space, but he knew it was just a screen. He could hear his crew members moving around in other rooms. When they all met for breakfast, Zara was waiting for them. The food was strange but tasted good. Everything was fruits and vegetables, but the flavors were new. Today you will see my world, Zara said. I want you to understand what we have lost. They went to a room with a huge window. Below them was the most beautiful planet Jake had ever seen. Blue oceans and green land, white clouds that looked like cotton, cities that sparkled like jewels. It's amazing, Emma said. Wait until we land, Zara said. Their ship came down in the biggest city Jake had ever seen. The buildings were works of art. Tall towers that seemed to dance with each other. Gardens that floated in the air. Streets that glowed with soft light. But as they walked through the city, Jake saw what Zara meant. The place was almost empty. A few Villani walked slowly down the wide streets. They did not talk to each other. They did not look around at the beautiful buildings. They just walked with their heads down. Where is everyone? Lisa asked. In their homes, Zara said. Doing the minimum work they need to do, then going back to sleep. They visited a school. The young Villani students sat quietly while a teacher talked. No one asked questions. No one seemed interested. The teacher's voice was flat and boring. On Earth, kids would be raising their hands and talking all the time, Ben said. Your children are different, Zara said. They want to learn. They want to explore. They ask why about everything. Our children just accept what they are told. They went to a hospital where Dr. Amy Collins, the Meridian's doctor, met with Villani medical experts. The Villani doctors were very smart. They knew things about medicine that humans were still trying to learn, but they had no excitement about their work. They could cure diseases that we can't even treat, Amy said later, but they don't seem to care if they do or not. That evening, Zara took them to her palace. It was the most beautiful building Jake had ever seen, but it felt cold and empty. Zara's family was there to meet them. Her parents, the king and queen, her older brothers and sisters, they were all polite. They asked careful questions about Earth, but Jake could see they did not really care about the answers. Your Majesty, Jake said to the king, your daughter saved our lives. We are grateful. The king nodded. Zara has always been different. She still has the old fire. We hope meeting your people will help her understand that some things cannot be changed. After dinner, Zara walked with Jake through the palace gardens. The plants glowed with soft colors. The air smelled sweet. My father thinks I am wasting my time, Zara said. He thinks the fading cannot be stopped. He thinks I should accept it and be peaceful like everyone else. But you don't want to accept it, Jake said. No, Zara said. I want to feel alive. I want my people to feel alive again. I want us to care about things, to dream about the future, to take risks. She stopped walking and looked at him. That is why I need your help. I need you to show my people how to be human. Jake spent 2 weeks trying to understand the Villani people. Princess Zara had arranged for him and his crew to live in the palace. Every day they met with different groups of Villani. Scientists, teachers, workers, artists. All of them were very smart. All of them were very polite, but none of them seemed to care about anything. It's like talking to computers, Emma said one morning. They were eating breakfast in their rooms. They answer questions, but there's no feeling behind it. Lisa nodded. Yesterday I showed some of their engineers how we fixed our broken water recycler with spare parts. They thought it was interesting, but they didn't get excited about it. On Earth, engineers would have been asking 100 questions, Ben added. They would have wanted to try it themselves. Jake understood what his crew meant. The Villani were incredibly advanced. Their technology was hundreds of years ahead of anything humans had. But they used it without joy. They created beautiful things without caring if they were beautiful. Dr. Amy Collins had been working with Villani doctors. They can cure almost any disease, she told Jake. But when I asked why they became doctors, they just said it was their assigned job. None of them said they wanted to help people. Jake tried different approaches. He organized workshops where humans demonstrated problem-solving. He showed them human music and art. He told them stories about human history, about people who had fought against impossible odds. The Villani listened carefully. They took notes, but Jake could see in their bright eyes that nothing was reaching them. It was like trying to light a fire with wet wood. Then everything changed. Jake was in a meeting with Zara and her military advisors when alarms started going off throughout the palace. Red lights flashed on the walls. Voices spoke quickly in the Villani language. "What's happening?" Jake asked. Zara's face had gone pale. "The Keth horde. They're attacking our outer colonies." General Vex, the head of the Villani military, stood up from the table. He was an old Villani with scars on his silver skin. 3 colonies in the Keth sector are under attack. The enemy has sent 50 ships. Jake had heard about the Keth from Zara. They were insect-like aliens who traveled in huge swarms. They destroyed everything they found and took whatever they wanted. The Villani had fought them before, but always in small battles. 50 ships is a big attack, Zara said. "Yes," General Vex said. His voice was calm, like he was talking about the weather. "We will send 30 ships to defend the colonies. If that is not enough, we will evacuate the civilians and withdraw." Jake could not believe what he was hearing. "You'll just leave?" General Vex looked at him with those empty Villani eyes. "It is logical. If we cannot win easily, we should minimize our losses." "But what about the people living on those colonies?" Emma asked. She had been invited to the meeting because she was their best pilot. "They will be moved to other worlds," the general said. "It is an acceptable solution." Jake felt anger building in his chest. "Acceptable? You're talking about giving up without really trying to fight." Zara put her hand on Jake's arm. "Captain Morrison, this is how we have always handled the Keth. We fight when we can win easily. We withdraw when we cannot." "But you have better technology than they do," Jake said. "You have smarter people. You could beat them if you really tried." General Vex shook his head. "The risk is too high. We might lose ships. We might lose people. It is better to be safe." Jake realized this was exactly what Zara had been talking about. The Villani had become so afraid of losing anything that they would not fight for anything either. "Princess Zara," Jake said, "let me and my crew join your defense fleet." Everyone in the room stared at him. General Vex looked shocked. "Your ship is tiny. Your weapons are primitive. What could you possibly do?" "Maybe nothing," Jake admitted. "But at least we'll try everything we can before we give up." Zara was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see her thinking. Finally, she nodded. "Captain Morrison, you and your crew will join the defense fleet as advisors." "Advisors for what?" General Vex asked. "To show us how humans fight," Zara said. 3 hours later, Jake was on the bridge of a Villani warship called the Star Wind. Captain Tor was the ship's commander. Like all Villani military officers, he was polite and professional. But Jake could see he thought having humans along was a waste of time. "Our battle plan is simple," Captain Tor explained. "We will engage the Keth fleet at maximum range. We will use our superior weapons to destroy as many enemy ships as possible. If they get too close, we will withdraw." Jake looked at the tactical display. The Keth had 50 ships. The Villani had 30. But the Villani ships were bigger and had better weapons. "What if you sent some ships around behind them?" Jake suggested. "Hit them from 2 sides?" "Too risky," Captain Tor said. "Some of our ships might be destroyed." "But you'd destroy more of theirs," Emma said. She was working with the Villani pilot. "The plan is adequate," Captain Tor said. When they reached the battle area, Jake saw the Keth ships for the first time. They looked like giant beetles made of metal. They moved in a swarm, all clustered together. It would have been a perfect target for a surprise attack from multiple directions. But the Villani ships formed a neat line and attacked from the front. Just like their plan said, the battle went exactly as Jake expected. The Villani weapons were better. They destroyed 20 Keth ships quickly, but the Keth kept coming. They got closer and closer. When they were close enough to start hitting back, Captain Tor gave the order to withdraw. "We cannot risk taking damage," he explained to Jake. Jake watched the tactical display as the Villani ships pulled back. Below them on the colony world, millions of people waited to see if they would be saved or abandoned. "Captain Tor," Jake said, "what if we tried something different?" "The plan is working," Captain Tor said. "We have destroyed many enemy ships with no losses. But you're not going to save the colonies this way," Jake said. Captain Tor looked at him with those calm Volani eyes. The colonies cannot be saved. We will evacuate what people we can. Jake felt the same anger he had felt in the meeting. These people had everything they needed to win. But they would not take any risks to use it. Princess Zara, Jake said into his communicator. I request permission to try a different approach. Zara's voice came back immediately. What do you have in mind, Captain Morrison? Jake looked at the tactical display again. An idea was forming in his mind. It was crazy. It was dangerous. It was exactly the kind of thing humans would try when everything else failed. I want to take my crew and a few volunteer Volani ships. We'll hit the Keth from behind while the main fleet keeps them busy from the front. The risk is too high, General Vex's voice said over the communicator. The risk of doing nothing is higher, Jake said. If we don't try, those colonies are lost for sure. There was a long silence. Then Zara's voice came back. Captain Morrison, you have permission to try. Any Volani ship that wants to volunteer can join you. Jake looked around the bridge of the Star Wind. Captain Tor was shaking his head. This is madness, he said. But then something surprising happened. A young Volani officer at the weapons station spoke up. Captain, I volunteer to go with the humans. Other officers looked at him in shock. Volani never volunteered for dangerous missions. Why? Captain Tor asked. The young officer looked at Jake, then back at his captain. Because the humans are right. We cannot save anything if we are not willing to risk anything. 2 more Volani ships volunteered to join Jake's attack. It was not many, but it was enough. As Jake transferred to his own ship, the Meridian, he felt something he had not felt since the first day they met the Volani. He felt hope. The attack on the Keth fleet changed everything. Jake's small group of ships had hit the enemy from behind while they were focused on the main Volani force. The surprise worked. They destroyed 15 more Keth ships and saved 2 of the 3 colonies. But the real victory was not in the battle. It was in what happened to the Volani who fought with the humans. Lieutenant Kess was the young Volani officer who had volunteered first. After the battle, he came to find Jake on the Meridian. Captain Morrison, he said, I need to tell you something. Jake was tired from the fight, but he could see that Kess was excited about something. It was the first time Jake had seen a Volani look truly excited. What is it, Lieutenant? During the battle, when we were flying through the Keth ships when everything was dangerous and crazy? Kess paused, looking for the right words. I felt alive. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive. Jake smiled. That's what we call an adrenaline rush. It happens when you're in danger but fighting for something important. I want to feel it again, Kess said. I want to keep fighting like this. Like humans fight. Word of the battle spread quickly through the Volani Empire. For the first time in generations, people were talking about something with excitement. The story grew as it spread. Some versions said that humans had magical powers. Others said they were crazy warriors who feared nothing. Princess Zara called Jake to a meeting 3 days after the battle. Captain Morrison, she said, I have been receiving messages from all over the Empire. Young Volani want to learn from your people. They want to know how to fight like humans, how to take risks like humans. That's good, isn't it? Jake asked. Zara's bright eyes were troubled. Yes and no. My father and the old council think this is dangerous. They say humans are a bad influence on our people. Jake was not surprised. He had seen how the older Volani looked at him and his crew. They were polite, but they clearly did not approve. What do they want to do? Jake asked. They want to send you back to Earth, Zara said. They think if you leave, things will go back to normal. Jake felt sad at this news, but not surprised. What do you think? I think it is too late for that, Zara said with a small smile. The fire has already started to spread, she was right. Over the next few weeks, Jake saw changes throughout the Volani Empire. Young people were asking more questions. Some were even arguing with their teachers and parents. A few had started creating new art that was different from the traditional Volani style. Jake and his crew were invited to visit different worlds. Everywhere they went, they found young Volani who wanted to learn. Emma taught them about taking risks while flying. Lisa showed them how to fix things in creative ways. Ben demonstrated how to solve problems by thinking outside the rules. Dr. Amy Collins worked with young Volani doctors who wanted to try new treatments. They're starting to care about their patients as people. Not just medical problems, she told Jake. But not everyone was happy with these changes. Lord Commander Thane was the head of the Volani Military Council. He was older than General Vex and even more traditional. He came to visit Princess Zara with a formal complaint. "Your Highness," he said to Zara. Jake was in the meeting as an advisor. "These humans are corrupting our people. Our young officers are taking unnecessary risks. Our students are questioning their teachers. Our workers are changing procedures that have worked for centuries. Are people getting hurt?" Zara asked. "Some injuries, yes," Thane admitted. "But that is not the point. The point is order, stability. These things have kept our empire strong for 3,000 years. Jake could not stay quiet. "But your empire was dying before we came. Your people had given up on life." Thane's silver eyes flashed with anger. "Better a peaceful death than a chaotic life. Better stable emptiness than dangerous excitement. Do you really believe that?" Zara asked her military commander. "I do, Your Highness, and so do most of the council. We have voted. We want the humans removed from our space." Zara stood up slowly. "The council has voted, but I have not decided. I am still the princess of this empire." Thane bowed stiffly. "Of course, Your Highness, but please consider carefully. These humans will destroy everything we have built." After Thane left, Zara sat quietly for a long time. Jake waited for her to speak. "He is not completely wrong," she finally said. "Change is dangerous. People are getting hurt learning to take risks. Some of our systems are breaking down as people try new ways of doing things. Change is always messy," Jake said. "But is it better than slowly dying?" Before Zara could answer, alarms started going off again. This time they were louder and more urgent than before. General Vex rushed into the room. "Your Highness, we have a major problem. Our long-range scouts have detected a massive Keth fleet. At least 10,000 ships." Jake felt his blood turn cold. 10,000 ships was an invasion force, not a raiding party. "Where are they headed?" Zara asked. "Here," General Vex said. "They are coming straight for Volanos Prime. They will arrive in 5 days." Zara stood up quickly. "How many ships do we have to defend the home world?" 3,000, General Vex said. "But against 10,000 Keth ships?" He did not need to finish. Everyone knew what those numbers meant. "We must evacuate," Lord Commander Thane said. He had returned when he heard the alarms. "We can take the royal family and the government to the outer colonies. Rebuild somewhere else." "What about the billions of people on this world?" Jake asked. "We cannot save everyone," Thane said coldly. "We must save who we can and preserve the empire." Jake looked at Princess Zara. Her face was pale, but her eyes were bright with determination. "No," she said quietly. "Your Highness?" General Vex asked. "No," Zara said louder. "We will not run. We will not abandon our people." "We will fight!" Thane looked shocked. "Your Highness, this is suicide. We cannot win against such numbers." Zara looked at Jake. "Captain Morrison, what would humans do in this situation?" Jake thought about Earth's history. About all the times humans had faced impossible odds. About all the times they had chosen to fight instead of run, even when it seemed hopeless. "We'd probably lose," Jake said honestly. "But we'd make sure the enemy paid a high price for beating us. And sometimes, if you fight hard enough, you find a way to win that nobody thought was possible." Zara nodded. "Then we will fight like humans. We will defend our home world." Lord Commander Thane's face was full of anger. "This is madness, Your Highness. You are throwing away 3,000 years of Vellani civilization for the crazy ideas of these aliens." "No," Zara said. "I am trying to save what is left of our souls." Thane turned and walked toward the door. "I will not be part of this suicide. Half the fleet will follow me to safety. The other half can die with you if they choose." As Thane left, Jake realized that the Vellani Empire was about to split in two. Half would follow the old ways of caution and survival. Half would follow Zara into what might be their final battle. "Princess," Jake said, "are you sure about this?" Zara looked out the window at her beautiful home world. "Captain Morrison, 3 weeks ago I did not care if I lived or died. Now I have something worth dying for. That is the gift your people have given me." The Keth superfleet arrived exactly when the scouts had predicted. 10,000 ships that blotted out the stars around Volanos Prime. Jake had never seen so many enemy vessels in one place. From the bridge of Princess Zara's flagship, the Royal Star, he watched the massive formation take position around the planet. "Still time to evacuate," General Vex said quietly. But Jake could hear that even the old general did not really believe they should run. "No," Zara said firmly. "We fight here. We fight now." Half the Vellani fleet had left with Lord Commander Thane. The remaining 1,500 ships looked tiny compared to the Keth horde. But Jake noticed something different about the Vellani crews. They were scared, but they were also excited. For the first time in their lives, they were fighting for something that mattered to them. "Captain Morrison," Zara said, "you have experience fighting against impossible odds. How do we win this?" Jake looked at the tactical displays. Traditional space combat would be a slaughter. The Keth had too many ships, but humans had won impossible battles before by refusing to fight the way the enemy expected. "We don't fight their battle," Jake said. "We make them fight ours, and what do you mean?" asked Captain Dex, the Royal Star's commander. Jake pointed to the planet below them. "The Keth expect us to meet them in open space. Ship against ship. Instead, we use the planet. We use the moons. We make them come to us in small groups. They will just surround us," General Vex said. "Let them," Jake said. "Then we hit them from unexpected directions. We use asteroids as cover. We ram their big ships with our small ones. We fight dirty." Zara smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen her truly smile since they met. "Fight dirty. I like this human concept." The battle began at dawn on Volanos Prime. Jake had spread the Volani ships throughout the planetary system. Some hid behind moons, others waited in asteroid fields. A few were even hidden in the planet's atmosphere. The Keth came in waves, just as Jake had hoped. They expected to find the Volani fleet in neat formations, easy to destroy. Instead, they found small groups of ships attacking from every direction. Emma Carter was piloting a squadron of young Volani fighters. They used the planet's gravity to slingshot around and attack Keth ships from below. "It's like flying through a three-dimensional maze," she called over the radio. "The Keth can't keep track of us." Lisa Martinez was on an engineering ship that had been loaded with explosives. She and a team of Volani engineers flew directly into the middle of the Keth formation and detonated their ship. It destroyed 50 enemy vessels in one blast. "Lisa!" Jake called over the radio, but there was no answer. His friend was gone. Ben Rodriguez coordinated the communications between all the scattered Volani ships. He created false signals that made the Keth think there were ships where there were none. "Confusion is our best weapon," he told Jake. "Keep them guessing." The battle raged for 3 days. The Keth kept coming, but they were paying a higher price than they had expected. For every Volani ship destroyed, they lost 3 or 4 of their own, but numbers were still numbers. By the 3rd day, Jake could see they were losing. They had destroyed almost half the Keth fleet, but the Volani had lost 2/3 of their ships. Princess Zara's flagship was badly damaged. Fires burned in several sections. The weapons were mostly destroyed. Many of the crew were injured or dead. "Captain Morrison," Zara said. She was bleeding from a cut on her forehead, but her eyes were still bright. "We cannot last much longer." Jake looked at the tactical display. The remaining Keth ships were forming up for a final attack. In a few hours, it would all be over. "There's one thing we haven't tried," Jake said. "What?" Zara asked. Jake pointed to the largest Keth ship. It was 10 times bigger than any Volani vessel. Their command ship. "If we destroy it, the rest might retreat." General Vex, who had been wounded but was still fighting, shook his head. "It is surrounded by hundreds of smaller ships. We would never get close." "We would if we didn't try to come back," Jake said. Everyone on the bridge understood what he meant. "A suicide mission." "I'll take the Meridian," Jake said. "My ship is small enough to get through their defenses. If I can dock with their command ship." "It is too dangerous," Zara said. "You would certainly die." Jake thought about his wife Katie back on Earth, about the baby he would never see, about all the things he would miss. But he also thought about what would happen if the Keth won. They would destroy Volanos Prime. Billions of people would die. The spark of hope that humans had helped light in the Volani would be extinguished forever. "Sometimes the only way to save what matters is to risk everything," Jake said. Zara looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I am coming with you." "No," Jake said. "Your people need you to survive. My people need to see that their princess will not ask them to do anything she would not do herself," Zara said. Jake realized he could not change her mind, and maybe he did not want to. If this was going to be the end, he was glad he would not face it alone. They transferred to the Meridian with a small team of volunteers, human and Volani, working together for one last desperate mission. Emma piloted the ship through the Keth formation with skill that seemed impossible. She flew between enemy ships so close that Jake could see individual Keth soldiers through their windows. Laser beams filled the space around them, but somehow Emma kept them alive. There, Jake said, pointing to a docking bay on the massive command ship. Can you get us in there? Hold on, Emma said. The Meridian shot through the defensive fire like a bullet. Jake felt the ship shake as enemy weapons hit them. Sparks flew from damaged controls, but Emma held their course. They crashed into the docking bay harder than Jake had hoped. The impact threw everyone against the walls. When Jake got up, he could see that Emma was not moving. Emma! He ran to her pilot seat. She was alive but unconscious. Blood ran down her face. She got us here, Ben said. Now we finish the job. Jake, Zara, Ben, and 6 Volani volunteers made their way into the Keith ship. The corridors were dark and filled with the smell of alien machinery. The Keth had not expected anyone to actually board their ship. They met little resistance at first, but as they got closer to the command center, the fighting got worse. The Keth were like giant insects with armor and weapons. They moved fast and fought without fear. Ben was hit by Keth weapons fire while protecting the group from behind. Jake tried to help him, but Ben pushed him away. Keep going, Ben said. Finish this. Jake had to leave his friend dying in a dark alien corridor. It was the hardest thing he had ever done. By the time they reached the command center, only Jake, Zara, and 2 Volani soldiers were left. Jake carried explosives that would destroy the entire ship. The Keith commander was waiting for them. It was twice as big as the other Keth, with armor that gleamed like black metal. It spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding machinery. Humans and Volani, you fight well for such small creatures, but you cannot stop the horde. Maybe not, Jake said, but we can stop you. The final fight was brutal. The Keth commander was strong and fast. Jake and Zara worked together, but they were no match for it. One of the Volani soldiers died trying to protect Zara. The other was badly wounded. Jake found himself on the floor, pain shooting through his body. The Keth commander stood over him, ready to deliver the killing blow. Then Zara threw herself between them. The alien's weapon went through her instead of Jake. No, Jake screamed. But Zara's sacrifice gave him the chance he needed. With the last of his strength, Jake activated the explosives. The command ship began to tear itself apart. Jake held Zara as the alien vessel died around them. Did we win? Zara asked weakly. Through the command center's windows, Jake could see the Keth fleet. Without their command ship, the individual vessels were confused and disorganized. Many were already retreating. Yes, Jake said. We won, Zara smiled. My people will remember this day. They will remember that you taught us how to fight for what we love. They'll remember you too, Jake said. You chose to fight when everyone said you should run. You gave me that choice, Zara said. Her bright eyes were growing dim. You gave us back our souls, Jake Morrison. You showed us that survival without hope is not really living. Jake felt tears running down his face. You called me the human redeemer. Because that is what you are, Zara whispered. You redeemed us from emptiness. You reminded us what it means to be alive. Princess Zara died in Jake's arms as her people's greatest victory blazed around them. Jake survived the explosion, rescued by Volani ships that boarded the dying command vessel. He spent 3 months in a Volani hospital, recovering from his injuries. When he was well enough to travel, the new Volani government sent him home to Earth in a ship filled with gifts and treaties of friendship between their peoples. But Jake's real legacy was not in politics or trade agreements. It was in the change that had come over the Volani people. They had remembered how to dream. They had remembered how to fight for their dreams. They had remembered how to live. On Earth, Jake's son was born while he was still traveling home. When he finally held the baby for the first time, he thought about Princess Zara and her words. Sometimes the greatest victory was not in never falling, but in getting up every time you fell. Sometimes the greatest gift you could give was to remind others that hope was always worth fighting for. Jake Morrison had become the human